Hello friends, welcome to the Tales of Mahabharat by Banyan Tree Stories. In the last episode, we see how Prince Vichitravirya married Princess Ambika and Ambalika. Princess Amba, unable to marry her beloved King Shalva, begged Bhishma to marry her. Rejected by him, she vowed to avenge this insult and kill Bhishma. Now on to the next episode. One morning, Bhishma hurried to go meet Satyavati. I have found a solution in the Somvedniyo guidelines. As per that, when the king has left no heir, the queen could have a physical relationship with a Brahmin to beget a son. Please let me know who I should call upon, said Bhishma to Satyavati. The queen mother, lost in thought, said, I have a man in mind. He's actually my son. He would be able to help us. She continued to narrate her story, ignoring the shocked expression on Bhishma's face. Once, I helped Sage Prashant cross the river on my boat. Born in the fisherman's clan, I was unhappy with how I always smelt of fish. He happened to just hold my hand for a while, and magically the smell of fish emanating from my body turned into a wonderful aroma. We were attracted to one another and could not control this longing. The sage, with his powers, darkened the skies and we couldn't keep away from each other. He then asked me what my wish was. I asked for the boon to have this wonderful aroma all my life and for this meeting to be a secret. I also asked to remain a virgin in spite of the time I spent with him. Lastly, I asked that the son born out of this relationship should be as divine and as powerful as his father. The sage blessed me that our son would become the greatest poet the world has ever seen. Soon, my son was born a miracle. Moreover, I did not have to go through any labor pains. Just a few moments after his birth, he turned into a sage. Sage Prashant named him Dwaipayan. My son even gave me a special mantra to call him if I ever needed his help. Years later, because of his knowledge, he came to known as Sage Vyasa, said Satyavati with fear and awkwardness. But Bhishma accepted her story without any judgment. He then took a leave to invite Sage Vyasa to the kingdom. Soon, Sage Vyasa arrived to Hastinapur. Satyavati narrated all that had passed to the sage and asked for his help. He willingly agreed but advised her to ask the permission of her daughter-in-laws. Queen Ambika was called and explained how begetting a son was one of the most crucial responsibilities of the queen, and so she grudgingly agreed to the niyoga terms. That night, Sage Vyasa and Queen Ambika spent the night together, but Ambika shook with fear just looking at the sage. He was a great man but looked ragged and ugly. Ambika spent the whole night with her eyes shut and waited for this ordeal to be over. The next day, Sage Vyasa informed Satyavati that the child born would be able and knowledgeable, but blind, as Ambika had kept her eyes shut. Satyavati, dejected, now called upon Queen Ambalika to fulfill her duties. She was specifically instructed to keep her eyes open. Ambalika spent the night with Sage Vyasa, but ridden with fear, she turned pale and weak. Thus, her son Pandu was born pale and sickly. Satyavati, disturbed on hearing this, once again called Ambika. But this time, Ambika was different and more enthusiastic. The sage informed that the son born would not only be intelligent but also strong. The only problem being that it was not Ambika but someone else who had come to the sage Vyasa. Ambika had cunningly sent her servant to the sage. Soon, Ambika gave birth to Dhritarashtra. Ambalika gave birth to Pandu, and the servant had Vidura. Bhishma taught the princess all the skills and knowledge required to rule a kingdom. Dhritarashtra fought like a lion, Pandu became a master archer, and Vidura excelled in politics and strategy. In time, Dhritarashtra was announced the crown prince. Pandu was the chief of the armed forces, and Vidura became the prime minister. Pandu, on the advice of Vidura, took on the duties of the kingdom as Dhritarashtra was blind. As the princes came of age, Bhishma decided that it was time for them to be married. He sent out a marriage proposal for Dhritarashtra through Vidura to the king of Gandhara. The princess was known to be beautiful and ardent devotee of Lord Shiva. The Gandhara king was unhappy that Dhritarashtra was blind and so wanted to reject the proposal. But Princess Gandhari accepted the proposal. She convinced her father by saying that Lord Shiva appeared in her dreams and told her she would be married to a blind king. Gandhara Prince Shakuni was not happy to see his sister wed a blind man, but nevertheless Gandhari and Dhritarashtra were married in a grand ceremony, and hence the seeds of the greatest epic ever told were sown. After the wedding, Gandhari tied a silk cloth over her eyes and vowed to wear it for the rest of her life, to live a life that her blind husband was living. Soon, the king of Madra held a swayamvar for his beautiful daughter Madri to choose her husband. Madri, attracted to Pandu's lean body, chose him as her husband, although she would only be his second wife. A few years ago, Sura, the king of Yadava dynasty, had a cousin named Kunti Bhoj. He was very unhappy as he didn't have an heir, while Sura had two children, Vasudeva and Pritha. Pritha was brought up as Kunti Bhoj's daughter. Thanks to Sura's generosity, Pritha came to be known as Kunti, the daughter of Kunti Bhoj, also known as one of the most beautiful women. When Kunti was a young girl, Sage Durvasa happened to visit the kingdom of Kunti Bhoj. He was a great sage but was renowned for his anger. Curses were always on the tip of his tongue. The king handed the responsibility of serving the sage to the 14-year-old Kunti. With devotion and humility, Kunti served the sage. Pleased with her efforts, he blessed her with a special mantra. Kunti learned that mantra by heart. You could call upon any god with this mantra, said the sage, and took leave. Out of curiosity, one morning, Kunti chanted the mantra looking at the sun. Suddenly, she felt blinded by the powerful rays of the sun. Lord Surya appeared before her and promised to fulfill her wish. Kunti apologized to the Lord as she just wanted to test out the mantra and did not want anything in return. I am called to the earth only when there's a need to be fulfilled. I need to explain to you in detail the power of this mantra. When you pray to a god using this mantra, you will beget a powerful son from him, said Lord Surya. Kunti, trembling with fear, said, I can't have a child now. I'm not married, and the society would never accept me. My father would die of shame. He consoled her and said she would not have to go through any embarrassment or pain of 9 months to have the child. He then placed his hand on her stomach. Kunti experienced an unknown feeling of divine love, and then he gave her a child adorned with golden earrings and armor. This is our child, who will be one of the greatest archer, a philanthropist, and one who greatly values relationships. He will be remembered as long as I exist in this universe, said the Lord, and vanished. Kunti's mind was racing with thoughts. How will I hide this baby? How will I bring him up? Will I have to give him away? Namaste friends. Hope you liked the video. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Tales of Mahabharat by Banyan Stories. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel.